having another slice. It's really good. See? All in all, I think this is a success. Hello, welcome to my channel, the Tamlyn Long Reset Method. If you're new here, my name is Tammy and thank you so much for clicking on my thumbnail. Today we're making the BBC Good Foods Banana Bread Drizzle Cake. I'll have the recipe shown over here and also attached in a link below in the description. Over here you'll see I've laid out my ingredients. So let's start off. We need 140 grams of butter. I portioned this out earlier so that it can start to soften. We need 140 grams of caster sugar. We need 2 eggs, 140 grams of self-raising flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and 2 very ripe bananas. Once the cake is baked, we'll make the drizzle using this icing sugar. Step number 1 is to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. And then to butter our bread pan and line with baking paper. This is a really pretty enamel baking tin that I got yesterday from Tesco. I am in love with Tesco. I think it's such a great shop. I feel like that's sufficiently buttered. Non-stick, grease-proof and baking paper. It did say it needs to be a 2-pound baking dish. I don't know how many pounds this is. It says 21 centimeters. The next step is to cream the 140 grams of caster sugar in with this softened butter, and then we'll add in 2 beaten eggs and some of the flour. So I have my new Salter branded food scale over here. I did notice that the scale is actually a little bit crappy. It doesn't go into the negatives. So for example, you couldn't take out to measure. It has to just be added on. But that's okay, we'll adapt. This is 140 grams of caster sugar to go in. That's 139 grams. All I've got is a fork, but I'm very experienced in using a fork in baking. This butter is so nice and soft. I'm very happy about that. This is beautifully creamed, and now I'm going to beat 2 eggs in a separate bowl. So here I've got 2 free-range British eggs. And I'm using my trusty fork to beat the eggs. This is the fork that I've just used with creaming the sugar. So that's 2 beaten eggs that are going in with the creamed caster sugar and butter. I need to just add in some of the flour. So I think of the 140 grams, let's add in 100 grams of the flour. I do also have a sieve. That was one of the first things that Paul and I bought for our kitchen. That is 147 grams of the flour. Good thing I'm using the sieve. It says that I need to cream the mashed bananas with the last bit of flour anyway, so I'm just scooping it back into the egg bowl because I'll use the egg bowl to do the mashed bananas. So this is 103 grams of flour. still using my fork. I'm loving how light and fluffy this is. It's so pretty, this texture. But I'm going to put this aside. And here's the other 40 grams of self-raising flour. The Tesco self-raising flour. And we're going to mash in these 2 bananas. And the teaspoon of baking powder. I'm just adding 1 teaspoon of baking powder to the bananas and the leftover flour. Here's my trusty fork. Let's start mashing. It takes almost no time at all, and the bananas are mashed with the flour and baking powder. And the next step is to fold this into our caster sugar, butter, eggs and flour mixture. Fold. I think this is perfectly combined and the mixture is really light and fluffy. It looks silky smooth. Next, we're going to be pouring over into our prepared baking dish. And this time I'm swapping from fork to spoon. I used the spoon to scoop out that excess flour that I put into the sieve earlier. And now I'm just going to trim these edges because I prefer for nothing to catch fire. Beautiful. Here's the oven, and this is me putting it in the oven. It needs to bake for 50 minutes. That's 50. I just quickly moved that one metal grid up just in case it rises. It's 20 minutes in and it is rising and it is such a beautiful golden color. However, I've just dropped the temperature down to 160. Technically this should still go in for another 20 minutes even though I have reduced the heat. The recipe does say to take it out 20 minutes and 10 minutes prior to it being baked, just to check, because we don't want it to burn. So that is what I'm going to do, and I need 2 hands. We go. I actually don't think it's baked through because it looks a bit bouncy and wet in the middle. So I also don't have a skewer. Oh, that is nowhere near ready. It is definitely going back in. It has been 50 minutes and this smells delightful. It smells so good. Is it cooked? Yes, I'd say that's cooked. The recipe now goes on to say that I need to let this cool in the tin for 10 minutes, and after that I need to let it cool on a cooling rack, which I don't have, but I'll make an adjustment. It's been 10 minutes. This is me pulling it out of, oh my goodness, that's hot. I was thinking that I could just rest the bread here, sort of balanced on those arms. Okay, nice and clean. It came out of the pan. I'm going to check how much longer it needed to cool. Right, it doesn't actually say how much longer this needs to cool on a wire rack, but it does say that I can start making the icing sugar. That should cool pretty quickly, so let's move on to step 2. For step 2, we are going to weigh out 50 grams of icing sugar and make a glaze to drizzle over the banana bread. 50 grams. It says mix 50 grams with 2 to 3 tablespoons of water. This is the 50 grams of icing sugar, and that is 1, 2, it's actually just short of full tablespoons. That's 3 tablespoons. I think that cakes with a glaze over them always look so pretty. I think that's what attracted me to making this banana bread as well, is this little icing sugar drizzle. The other thing that the recipe recommends is for me to decorate the top of the cake with dried banana chips. Just my personal preference, I do not want to do that. I think that's really nice and smooth now. Let's get to drizzling. And this paper around it is nice because if I make a mess anywhere, which I am making a mess, I feel like 50 grams is a lot of drizzle for this. My keen observation tells me that I needed to mix the icing sugar more, and I should have made it with only 2 tablespoons of water, and I should have waited a little bit longer before putting on the drizzle. It's still pretty, and I am going for a walk now, and I'll try it when I get back. I am ready to cut a slice and try this bread out. Ooh. That's tasty. It's moist. I'd say it's a little bit oily. I love a crispy crust, so all in all, I think this is a success.